880? He just passed away. A lieutenant. That's what's his name? Which 880? Yeah, by David. V'ozvu inyoni yodomam v'andhogas gufeya b'libosam machshavtom. 882nd paragraph. They've abandoned all their worldly involvements, what relates to the physicality. It's not just in practice, but in their emotion, their minds, and their hearts. V'sasku ben b'chusheyem hagufiyim beis hatzorf hadochik. It's interesting, the Mechaber, when he speaks about the mitzvah of conjugal obligations, he quotes, it's very unusual, the Mechaber, Shulchan Aruch cites the Gemara, says one of the Moraim, when he would engage in the mitzvah of procreation, is kibul kofu shade. It's as if he was being forced by a demon to do it. Meaning, it was purely perfunctory. He tried whatever he can that he should not have any physical involvement other than the physical act, but on the emotional, mental, he was totally detached from it. Because he was concerned for the what? For the effect of being affected by that. You know, this famous, I was once at a dinner for Torah Masoros. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said Tzaddik Baruch Hu was the guest of honor. Rabbi Yaakov. He already was a man in his 80s. He was the guest of honor. Torah Masoros is the day school movement, Orthodox day school movement. And you know, there's an expression, what we call balabatim. Every day school has their board of people. So, and there was always an issue, what do you pay teachers? What should their salaries? Is it equivalent on par with public school system? Usually not. Much higher. So they used to, so there was a mindset among balabatim. People were talking about observant balabatim. I'm not talking about people not religious. What do you pay a malamed? Pay a malamed, that's his wage. So Rabbi Yaakov says at the dinner, he speaks, and he addressed this point. He said, what do you expect? Rabbi Chinim ben Dosa. Chinim ben Dosa, he lived on Kaf Charub Erev Shabbos at Erev Shabbos, a small measure of carib. He says, that's good for Rabbi Chinim ben Dosa. What about Mrs. Chinim ben Dosa? You expect her to live on Kaf Charubin, Erev Shabbos at Erev Shabbos. That was his point he made. This is at the dinner. He has, like 1,500 people here with all these balabatim. Right? No, the people heard it. They heard it loud and clear when he said it. Yeah, but you should be detached. You should live on a minimal level. And what about the children? And what are the kids? They should be raised where they feel deprived. So, and the wife should be deprived. We expect of him is one thing. What about his family? He also has a family, like you people have families. No, of course. Look, nobody's born is born a tzaddik. Nobody's born a maluch. Right. Because of the unimportant and meaningless to them. Upino nafshosav libos linyoni torosam vavoros alokeyem lichvod v'ramuso, because they've vacated their neshamas and their hearts and their emotions to Torah, service of Hashem, for His honor and for His exaltedness. Give an example. A person has not one in a lifetime opportunity, but he has to dedicate a year of his life, and he's able to make an amount of money. He'll be able to guarantee his great-grandchildren financially. But he has to be committed to this day and night for a year. And he has to compromise on many of the human amenities and comforts of life. Does he have a problem? Because of his understanding of the value of the opportunity, it's not a problem. But you're not going to eat 3 square meals a day. You're not going to sleep in a bed. You're not going to have the comforts. You may be sleep deprived, whatever it is. But if you put in that full year, you're over the top. Guaranteed for the next 10 generations. So what is it? So it's not even a question. It's not even a question. And if it is a question, if it has its true value, the man missed the point. He doesn't get it. So I'm saying a person who has the Avos Hashem and understands the value of serving and exalting and living. So what am I giving up? I'm giving up nothing for everything. It's a small price, as they say. It's a small price to pay. Small price to pay. Lishma mitzvosa v'gufosam ba'oretz libosam b'shamayim. So the physicality here is in this existence, but where's the mind? Where's the hearts? In Shamayim. V'hein b'mashav libosam idiyas elokim. And what's in their hearts? Knowing God. Kilu ovdemosam emalochim hagdoshim b'shmei Shamayim. Although they're walking on the terrestrial level, they're like in heaven. They see God. They experience God. Reading this phenomenal book just came out on Rabbi Chaim Brisker. Just came out a few months ago. It's in Hebrew. And it speaks about the Beis HaLevi. It's Rabbi Chaim's father. Beis HaLevi, even as a child, he was very special. And he was like fire. Like fire. Wasn't impressed with anything unless it was the real thing. His name was Rabbi Yosef Dov Soloveitchik. Beis HaLevi. So, he was a Rav in Slutsk. Slutsk had very wealthy balabatim. Very wealthy balabatim. And so there's a bar mitzvah in Slutsk, one of the wealthy people. It was the Rana. The Rav should come, and he wasn't just an ordinary Rav. He was known throughout Europe as one of the leading, even though he was a young man. And see, first the question he asks, he says, is the bar mitzvah boy going to say a drasha at the bar mitzvah? So they said no. Rich people, they send the kids to gymnasium, this and that. Boy's not saying. He says, I'm not going to a Moshe Leitzin. Finished. It was irrelevant to him, wealth, not wealth. It's a Moshe Leitzin. It's a gathering of scoffers, deprecators. It says in Petilim, let Moshe Leitzin lo Yoshav. He's not going to Moshe. The wealthy person heard this. He never experienced this kind of, response. But put salt on injury, insult to injury. From the poorest in the community, a very poor person had barely what to eat. He was having a bar mitzvah the same night, and the poor man invited him to come to his bar mitzvah. So, and the poor man said, "My son has prepared an unbelievable pshetel, piece of Torah to say." He says, "I'm coming." So it was bad enough that he said he's not going to the rich man's bar mitzvah, but instead of the rich man, he went to the poor man's bar mitzvah. This already opened a whole new area, despite how great he is and what kind of tzaddik he is and his proficiency in Torah. They were out to destroy his life. And this one rich man, together with all his cronies, first thing they did was they paid rent for his apartment, for his house. They're stopping the rent. They're going to actually dispossess him, put him out of his house. You ever hear what's going on over here? The governor of the city said, I have a 10-room house. I will give it to you rent-free, because he saw what they were trying to do to him. So he says, I will not take it. Because it's a chilul Hashem. Here the Jews put me out on the street, and a goy should offer me. How does it look for the... It brings a tremendous kitruk on the Jews. I will not take it under any circumstance. This was already after the Cantonist period, where they would conscript Jewish kids into the Russian army for 10 years, 25 years. So the wealthy people used to pay, and they would fill the quota with the poor children. So you know what they did? They went, and they had this bar mitzvah boy, in the meantime, became an orphan subsequently, and they had him, and they paid people to kidnap these kids, the poor kids, and they targeted this bar mitzvah boy of this poor family to show the Beis HaLevi that he's not going to live this down. He's not going to get away with this. See this? And they had him kidnapped. You understand the level of how they couldn't swallow it. This, I'm just saying, this. But him, he fought it to the end, where he taught them. He says, I'm going to teach you people a lesson. And he went with his genius, and he bought all the exemptions for the conscription without them knowing it. And he raised money from all the poor people. And at the end of the day, they had to fill the quota. They were only full the quota only with rich people's children. Because he already bought all the exemptions. So all the poor people, their children were exempted from conscription. So he said to them, there's only, and he had other exemptions what he could have used for them. He said, firstly, you got to cover all what I borrowed. You people have to cover that. In addition, you have to make a commitment, whatever it is. He says, I taught you a lesson how to behave. You know, I'm just telling you, this is the way it is. Not perturbed by anything. Okay?
Gave up 40 days and 40 nights.
Well, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have the food available. He agreed to go to Shemayim. Yeah, right. Yeah.
The concept of last names.
No, it was very recent, very recent. 1800s.
Really?
In Hungary until the mid-1800s. There were no last names. You know that? You know, Hungarians, especially among Hungarians, even Russians, very fine names: Abraham, David, Moses. That was the name of that was the patriarch of the family. It was Ben David. The whole family, the name was David. That was the name of the family. Well, Ben David. These were Hungarian Jews, or Abraham. Avram was there. That the family is Moses, Moshe. The whole family was Moses, especially among Hungarians. When they gave the names, the Goyim, Schwarz, imagine call a Jew black. The government picked these names. White, yeah, you know, to ridicule. It's like, you know, to ridicule them. Spiegel, they were very handsome. Look in the mirror, see what you look like. Spiegel, okay.